Hi, it's Elissa Weinzimmer, founder of Voice Body Connection, and welcome to the How to Warm Up video series. How to warm up. I created this video series because a lot of my clients were asking me, Elissa, how should I warm up in the morning or before I have an audition or an important meeting, etc. Well, here's the thing, there's no one way to warm up. What there is an intelligence about how to tell what your body needs on any given day. If I were to create a 10-minute warm-up video and say, do this every day, follow it by rote, memorize it perfectly, it would go against what I believe, which is teaching you to fish instead of fishing for you, if you will, right? So what you're gonna learn in this intro video is the intelligence behind the exercises in this whole series so that you can, on a daily basis or whenever you need, put together a warm-up that suits you. Now, let's start with asking a really important question, which is, why is it important to warm up? In my opinion, it's important to warm up because it teaches your body how to behave on a certain day. If you're going out to give a presentation or to perform and you expect your body to suddenly be there for you, maybe some days it is, but on some days you may not be in optimum mode, you need to give yourself 5, 10, 15 minutes to actually let your body feel what it feels like to be functioning in an optimum way before you go out on stage. So we're going to go through 7 different steps that are the progression of how the voice works and therefore what you can warm up when you're warming up your voice and your body to perform. Here we go through those steps. So here are the 7 steps that we go through when our body wants to make sound. The first step is that we have an impulse. We have a desire to speak. There's a reason, there's some sort of inspiration for why we want to communicate. The next thing that happens when our nervous system receives that impulse is that our body responds in some sort of way. It moves in some way. And one of those movements of the body is breath. It is breathing. It is the movement of the respiration in order to get a breath in. Now, as that breath comes in, our lungs expand, and then as that breath travels up and out, it encounters in our airway vocal cords, also known as vocal folds. Those vocal folds are where the sound occurs, which is the really simple way of saying vibration, or the fancy word for it is phonation. When those vocal cords get set into motion by the airflow coming through them, and indeed that is actually a physics principle that sets them into motion, it's an aerodynamic principle, so they start vibrating very quickly, hundreds or even thousands of times per second. That makes a sound in our larynx, in our voice box, in our throat. Now, that sound wouldn't sound like a human voice yet unless it started to bounce around inside what's called the vocal tract, which is the tube, your throat, from vocal cords all the way up through into your mouth and into your nasal passages. Now, as that sound bounces around inside that vocal tract, it becomes resonant. It creates resonance. And so that resonance starts to make it sound more like my voice or your voice because everyone's tube is a different shape. And then from there, we have articulators. We have speech things that can happen all over with our lips, our teeth, our tongue, our jaw, etc. And as we articulate, we shape that flow of resonant sound into speech. And then finally, we compose all of those little parts of speech into whatever language we've agreed upon to use. And that language is also communication, which can reach the person who is listening to us. Now, those are the 7 steps that explain how our voice works, and I go more deeply into this big overview that I did very quickly in my online course, How Your Voice Works. But for now, I hope you understand enough to know that if we warm up each of these steps along the way, we'll have a warm voice. So as you work your way through this series of videos, you'll see that they're organized into these categories. There are exercises for impulse, body, breathing, sound, resonance, articulation, and language. What you can do is pick and choose, see what you like the best and what feels important to you on any given day in terms of what you need. You can use these exercises as a pre-warm-up before your existing routine, or even as a post-warm-up cool down if you'd like, or you can just use them as your full warm-up routine. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know below the videos. And of course, you can visit me at www.voicebodyconnection.com if you'd like to learn more about the How to Warm Up series, the How Your Voice Works class, the How to Have Presence class, or any of my other offerings. I look forward to seeing you over there and in the videos. How to warm up.